So after this wonderful introduction about the activity in the branch and as well as at WIC, now let me introduce our first speaker of the day, Adv.Jignesh Parikh sir. He is also chartered accountant and he is practicing chartered accountant since 15 years in the field of litigation of income tax. He is now obtained the sanat and now is practicing as an advocate. Currently he is working with the advocate Bandis Soparkar sir. He has delivered more than 150 lectures on income tax litigation and also contributing various articles on the topic. Now I request committee member to please welcome him with a memento.
Honorable Chairman Sir, WARC of ICI, Honorable Regional Council members present here, Honorable Chairperson, Ahmedabad branch of WARC of ICI, Managing Committee members, and other dignitaries present here. It is indeed a matter of pride for me again to be here and to address on this interesting issue, that is issues relating to assessment on trust. I always say that whenever there comes an opportunity to deliver a talk, one person who gains for sure is the faculty. So before I start my session for a day, I would strongly advise and recommend that please do grab this opportunity whenever this opportunity comes to you. As a matter of fact, now everything has gone faceless. We have to represent our clients in a faceless assessments, faceless appeals, and the ITAT would also go faceless soon. So this kind of opportunities are the wonderful opportunity or the great platforms where we can at least rehearse that when there comes an opportunity to represent a client before the authorities, we can do in a most and efficient manner. And as a matter of fact, જ્યારે કોઈ પણ ટોપિક ઉપર તૈયારી કરીએ ત્યારે એકચ્યુઅલી ઘણું બધું શીખવા મળે છે. મેં કહ્યું હતું કે જ્યારે 2016માં મેં અમદાવાદ બ્રાન્ચમાં 44 AD ઉપર લેક્ચર આપ્યો હતો ત્યારે મેં ડાયસ ઉપરથી કહેલું હતું કે મને પ્રિપેરેશન કરતી વખતે ખબર પડી કે મેં કેટલા ક્લાયન્ટના રિટર્ન ખોટા ભર્યા. 2023માં ફરીથી અમદાવાદ બ્રાન્ચમાં 44 AD ઉપર લેક્ચર આપ્યો અને ત્યારે પણ એ જ 44 AD ઉપર લેક્ચર આપ્યો. 7 years, after 7 years, in between તો ઘણી બધી વખત ઘણી બધી જગ્યાએ આપ્યા. Once again I was preparing for the topic અને એ વખત ટોપિક પ્રિપેર કર્યો ત્યારે ખબર પડ્યું હતું કે મેં મારું રિટર્ન ખોટું ભર્યું હતું. So the beauty of our act is that you will always find new, though there is everything written in the same way, but then you will find something new. And we get the opportunity to learn only when this kind of opportunities of delivering session comes. Anyway, with this note, I start the topic. Now, so far as assessment, so far as trust is concerned, we deal with the topics and in bits and phases. If you have a question, you can stop me in between. Our department thodu weak che, etle if you have a question, just don't raise hand. Just quote my name, I'll stop. So, when we talk about a trust or an institution, I divide them into 3 categories. Trust or institutions which are covered under section 1023C, 3IAB, 3IAC, 3IAD, and 3IAE. That is the first category. Second category, trust or institutions which are covered under section 1023C, 4, 5, 6, and 6A. And the third category, the one which are covered under 12AB, so those who are claiming exemption under section 11 and 12. We would first deal with 1023C, 3IAB, 3IAC, 3IAD, and 3IAE, the issues relating thereto. Thereafter, we will move on the other issues and our major focus would be on the amendments which have been made. Of course, one would feel that ke jilla je paristhitiyoma trust ma amendment che, one can say with confidence that probably it appears that government has no trust on trust. Now coming to section 1023C 3IA. 3I-AB, AC, AD and AE. Now 3I-AB and AD deals with educational institutions. 3I-AC and AE deals with the hospitals. What does, let me read for a time being, section 3I-AB, it goes this wise. Any university or other educational institution solely for education purposes and not for the purpose of profit, and which is wholly or substantially financed by the government. So 3I-AB says that any university or other educational institution solely for the educational purposes and not for the purpose of profit. So the first thing which we need to discuss is the word solely. Second thing that we need to discuss is not for the purpose of profit. And the third thing that we need to discuss is which is wholly and substantially financed by the government. And of course, the fourth thing that we need to discuss here is the educational institution. So this discussion would not only help us for 11 and 12, this section, but also for 11 and 12. Now 3I-AC, any hospital or other educational institution for the reception and treatment of persons suffering from illness or mental deficiencies, or the reception and treatment of persons requiring medical attention or rehabilitation existing, now important, solely for philanthropic purposes and not for the purpose of profit, as I mentioned that we covered, which is wholly or substantially financed by government. So 3I-AB and 3I-AC, they say that the only condition that you need to satisfy, if we talk about 3I-AB, let's for a time being, they say that you need to be an educational institution, you should not be for the purpose of profit, you should be wholly and substantially financed by government. If you talk about 3I-AC, they say that you should be a hospital solely for philanthropic purposes, not for the purpose of profit, and wholly and substantially financed by government. Now please mark one distinction between both. Here in 3I-AB, the words are any university or other educational institution solely for educational purposes. The word solely is prior to educational purposes. Whereas, if you refer 3I-AC, the word is any hospital, etc., etc., solely for philanthropic purposes. So the hospital has to be for philanthropic purposes. Solely, here the word solely is not before hospital. Here the word solely is before philanthropic purposes. So that is a great difference, and that we need to discuss. So coming to the first issue is the word solely. We have a direct judgment of new noble education, wherein the word solely is discussed. In this judgment, in this 45-page to 50-page judgment, they have said that the law of strict interpretation to be applied if it does not result into an ambiguity or absurdity. Unless it results into ambiguity and absurdity, one has to go by rule of strict interpretation. Rule of literal interpretation. So when it is very much clear, when it is categorically provided in the act that the institution has to be solely for educational purposes, it has to be solely for educational purposes, the theory of predominant object has to be given a go by. Meaning thereby, if you have got in your trust deed multiple objects, let's take an example, you have got an object of, you are an educational institution and you have object of family planning, you have other objects as well, which have got nothing to do with the educational. In that particular case, you cease to be a solely educational institution, and once you cease to be a solely educational institution, the benefit of section 1023C, 3I-AB, 3I-AD, both the sections benefit will not be available, and even the benefit of section 1023C6 will also not be available, because in all these places the word solely educational follows. So the benefit will not be available, and one has to then travel, if that is the case, one has to choose to go to 11 and 12. Of course, I am well aware that you cannot have both the benefit. I mean, after the amendments which have been made post 2020, either I can have 12AB or I can have 1023C. But then if I want to go by 1023C, 4, 5, 6 and 6A or 11, 12, that is what the comparison. There is nothing about 1023C, 3I-AB, AC, AD, AE. If I want to fall in 3I-AB, AC, AD, AE, then no registration, no audit, nothing doing. But let's say I am an educational institution, wholly and substantially financed by the government, but I do not exist solely for education purposes, then my exemption may be lost. We have direct judgment of our own Ahmedabad ITAT, and that judgment is in the case of Parul Arogya Seva Mandal Trust, 2023, 154 taxman.com, 349. It was held that Assessee Trust was having multiple objectives along with education object, could not be said to be existing solely for educational purpose, and therefore could not be allowed exemption under section 1023(6). So this interpretation would be squarely applicable. So the first thing we spoke about, solely for educational purposes. Second one is not for the purpose of profit. Once again, this issue came up for discussion in the case of New Noble Education. They say that you should be solely for educational purpose and not for the purpose of profit. When we say you are not for the purpose of profit, then the court itself observed that section 11 bracket 4a, section 11 bracket 4a and 7th proviso to section 1023C carves out an exception to that, and they say that there can be a profits and gains of the, there can be profits and gains, that there can be a profits, and it can be from the business which are incidental to the attainment of the object of the trust. Now the word comes important is incidental to the attainment of the object of the trust. What do we mean by incidental? When can I say that the objects of the trust are incidental to the attainment of the main object? The court proceeded further to decide on that. The court held that, as a matter of fact, the Honorable Supreme Court referred the other judgment of Supreme Court, wherein the dictionary meaning of the word philanthropic was discussed, and they say that the word, dictionary meaning of the word incidental was discussed, and they say that the word incidental means happening or likely to happen as a result of or in connection with something more important. Being an incident casual, hence secondary or minor, meaning thereby it has to be, it should be an offshoot of something which is main is happening. It should be adjunct to the main activity. That's what the Honorable Supreme Court wants to convey. Something incidental to a dispute, something which is happening on account of a dispute. So that is how the dictionary meaning of the word incidental comes, and that's what the court has interpreted. So court said that if you're an educational institute and you are selling textbook, we have no problem. You're an educational institute and you are selling uniform, we have no problem. If you are an educational institute, you are providing transport facility to the students, we have no problem. You are an educational institute, you are providing hostel facility to the students, we have no problem. But if you are an educational institute and providing hostel facility not only to your student but for the other students as well, then we do have a problem. It is not incidental to the attainment of the object of the trust. Now please draw the analogy of this judgment to the another part, and that says that I am a hospital. Please mark it. This judgment, so far as it deals with the solely part, New Noble Education does not have the solely part of the controversy or the interpretation relating to the solely won't apply to the hospital, but the incidental to the attainment of the object, this particular part would have a direct reference to section 11 bracket 4a, it have a direct reference to 7 proviso to section 1023c, and it will have a direct reference, of course, to this particular section 1023c, 3i, AB, AC, AD, AE. So all to all those sections, it would have a direct reference. Now, let's take an example. I am a hospital. I have got a dispensary. I am supplying medicine only to my in-house patients or only to those patients who have come for an OPD at my hospital. Of course, it is an offshoot of the main activity. Had I not run a hospital, I would not have sold the medicine. But if I say that I sell the medicine not only to the in-house patient, but also I sell medicine to the outdoor patients, then it ceases to be the incidental. One may take a view. Of course, we have judgment of Bombay High Court, we have got judgments of other tribunals where a view has been taken that if the medicines are being sold to the outsiders and separate books of accounts are being maintained, then there should not be a problem. But then after New Noble Education, and where the Honorable Court has categorically given an example that if there is a hostel and if the students in the hostel, if you are providing hostel facility to your own students, no problem. But to the other students as well, yes, then it ceases to be an incidental. So in the past, we have a Supreme Court judgment where a view has been taken that if some activity is incidental or integral, then it is also considered as a charity. Now this reference seems to have been diluted by this judgment. So it is advisable that we should be very much careful that whether a particular activity is in fact incidental or not. Now, please also understand that this particular judgment deals with 11.4a. It does not deal with 11.4. 11.4 is when business undertaking is held as property. Just one sec. Section 11 bracket 4, if we look, section, it goes this wise. Section 11 for the purpose of this section, property held under a trust includes a business undertaking. Meaning thereby, if the business undertaking is held as held as property held under a trust, then this judgment will not be applicable. So a business undertaking which is held as which is there as a property held under a trust, it may not be incidental. Let's take an example. To a trust, a business is donated. I am a trust. I have been donated a business. So if I have donated a business, the business undertaking itself is donated to me. In that particular very case, section 11 bracket, it would fall under section 11 bracket 4 and not under section 11 bracket 4a. And the requirement of incidental, books of incidental and all those things would applicable in when I go for section 11.4a. So that distinction one has to keep in mind. Even the Ahmedabad Urban Development Authority Supreme Court has also taken a note of that particular situation, and they have said that they have reported they discussed with one newspaper judgment, and they say that here the newspaper business is kept as business undertaking held as a property under the trust, and so this judgment cannot be applied. So one refers that judgment of Ahmedabad Urban Development Authority, then also this reference has been taken. So this is the first thing which I wanted to cover with respect to section 1023C and the allied issues. Second point that comes up here is, okay, what is educational? That is what we also spoke about. In Ahmedabad Urban Development Authority, they said that educational means something which is a formal education. So unless an activity is a formal education, it ceases to be treated as an educational activity. So to cover under this section, what is relevant is that if I want to be covered by 1023C, 3IAB or 3IAB or 3IAD or section 1023.6, I need to be an educational, solely educational, number one. Number two, not for the purpose of profit. We have one judgment of Honorable Supreme Court which talks about once again profit, where the judgment of Honorable Supreme Court in the case of New Noble has been followed. That is in the case of Baba Banda Singh Bahadur Educational Trust, 2023, 150 Taxman.com 40 Supreme Court. Here they have said that, they have observed that the profit was found to be 67.81% without depreciation and 44.48% with depreciation. They say in that case you cannot be considered as existing not for the purpose of profit, because it is an exceptional profit. It was with reference to section 1023C6, mind it. It is not with reference to 1023C, 3IAB or 3IAC. What I try to convey here is that so far as I deal with 3IAB, 3IAC, 3IAD, 3IAE, what I need to prove that I am existing solely for philanthropic purposes. In case of an educational, of course, solely for educational purposes, not for the purpose of profit. So that is what we need to keep in mind. Another issue is, if we talk about 3IAB and 3IAC, they say that they are wholly and substantially financed by government. What is wholly and substantially financed? If 50% of my total receipt comes from government, maybe central or a state government, in that particular case, I am wholly or substantially financed by government. So in that particular case, irrespective of my receipts, I am not supposed to get my books of accounts audited so far as Income Tax Act is concerned, and I need to file a simple return under section 139(4)(c), where I can claim this particular benefit. Right, I am not supposed to bother about accumulation. I am not supposed to bother about the corpus fund. I am not supposed to bother about the investment of the funds. All these things would go. Similarly, if we talk about 3IAD and 3IAE, here the requirement of wholly and substantially financed by government is not applicable, but there is a cap on total receipt, and that is 5 crore. Now my question that comes is, let's take an example. I am a trust. My total receipts are 4 crore 80 lakhs, and I have got a corpus donation 60 lakhs. So that crosses the limit of 5 crore. The question is whether am I eligible for the benefit or not. We have direct judgment on this which says that corpus donations are not to be considered and receipts from the business only is to be considered, and that judgment is, just give me a minute. Yes, that is the judgment in the case of Assistant Commissioner of Income Tax versus Shiksha Samiti 2015 64 ITCL 25 Delhi Tribunal G bench. So that is, in that case what was happened is, it was held that the corpus donation received by the assessee was separated. If the corpus donation is separated, the annual receipts of the educational society were only 69 lakhs. At that time the limit was of 1 crore. Since the annual receipts of educational institutes, assessee, society were below rupees 1 crore, exemption under section 1023C 3 IAD was allowable. Now, since we spoke about section 1023C 3IAB, IC, ID, IE, as I mentioned, the first category, we almost discussed that part, first category part, where I said that no audit, only return has to be filed, only the conditions, as I mentioned, only those conditions are required to be satisfied. We need not to bother about corpus, we need not to bother about 40A, we need not to bother about 40A IEA, we need not to bother about 40A3. So all these things are not to be bothered about, and the things are, life is very much simple so far as we are going here, and no registration, etc. is also required so far as we are talking about this particular categories. Now we come to the another category. The second category is 1023C 4566A and 11 and 12. That is 12AB. So here in the beginning there were certain differences. There were a series of differences were there. Finance Act 2020 made a series of amendment, and an attempt was being made to align that both the differences are being eliminated. Still there are few differences between both the sections. What are those differences? We are aware that if my income is, let's say, 100 rupees, my application is, let's say, 70 rupees, 15% is my deduction, so now 85 rupees. Now the remaining 15, let's take an example, it was received on a very last moment, so I could not apply, so I can file form number 9A. This is not available, this benefit is not available so far as 1023C is concerned, the first difference. Second difference, of course, I am not good at GST, but then I try to find out. I may be wrong here, you may correct me. The GST law says that if you are an entity covered under section 11 and 12, that's 12AB, then there won't be a GST. But then they have not used the word 1023C, 4, 5, 6 and 6A. So probably there can be an issue over there. The third is the provisions relating to capital gain. They are given in section 11, but then the corresponding provisions are not given in, if we talk about this side, which is section 11, 4, 5, 6 and 6A. Keeping aside these few differences, almost everything is same. Now, so when, and almost an attempt is being made to align both the sections, so one can choose either 1023C or one can choose 11 and 12, it is the choice of the concerned person. However, as I mentioned, when I say 1023C or 1112, I only mean 4, 5, 6 and 6A. We don't say about 3I, AB, AC, AD and A, which we already discussed, right? Coming to now the important issue relating to those points. The first issue which I would deal with, as we have already touched upon that issue, that is maintaining separate books of accounts. And section 11 bracket 4A. Now, section 11 bracket 4A talks about the business has to be incidental to the attainment of the object. Separate books of accounts are required to be maintained. If that is the case, it's good to go. The question is, whether am I supposed to get those books of accounts audited under section 44AB if the turnover exceeds the threshold limit? That's what the precise issue is. Now, if we refer to the guidance note issued by ICAI, then obviously in the guidance note issued by ICAI, it has been categorically mentioned, wide paragraph number 6, that books of accounts are required to be audited. But I mean, I do not say that the books of accounts are not required to be audited. It is always better to be on a safer side, because if we refer, as I mentioned, if we refer Rule 17A against Sub-Rule 2, they also say that you have to attach those audited books of accounts to the while getting registration. If we refer the guidance note of ICAI, once again they say that, as I mentioned in the paragraph 6, they say that you have to get the books of accounts, you have to get the books of accounts audited. So let me figure out that paragraph so I can read the relevant portion. Yes, so if I go to guidance note on tax audit, the relevant portion of paragraph number 6 is that this section makes it mandatory. I'm reading from the guidance note. This section makes it mandatory for every person carrying on any business or profession to get his accounts audited where the conditions laid down in the sections are satisfied, and to furnish the report of such audit in the prescribed form. A trust, association, institution carrying on business may enjoy exemption as the case may be under section 1021, 1023A, 1023B, section 1023B, BB, or section 1023C, or section 11. So here it is categorically said you have to go and maintain the books of account. Even if we refer to Rule 17A, in the Rule 17A also they have said that books of accounts are required to be maintained, books of accounts are required to be audited. Now, so far as I mentioned, when a matter comes to us beforehand, we would say you get the books of accounts audited, let us play safe, we don't want to get into a litigation. But we need to also prepare where AO says that, because let's say we have till now followed the cases where we have said that I am doing a particular activity which is incidental, and in some judgment Honorable Supreme Court has stated that if the activities are incidental, they are also considered as a charitable, and since they are considered as a charitable, then you need not to get the books of accounts audited. They become entirely part of the charitable activity. Now, if that is the case, and now AO says that no, I would apply new noble education, and I would say that it is an incidental, it is a business incidental to the attainment of the object of the trust, and you should have got the books of accounts audited, and since you have not got the books of accounts audited as required, I would now not give you the advantage of section 11 and 12. What should be my defense in that case? So once again, I do not say that don't get the books of, please get the books of accounts audited, but if at all, let us take an example, the client has not done, now they have come to me when the notice has come to us, what should be our defense, right? So for that, one can rely on the department circular, CBDT circular number 5P LXX6, dated 19th June 1968. Here they have stated that income is required to be calculated in a commercial manner. And here a categorical view has been taken, income has to be computed in a applying the commercial principles and not as per the provisions of the Income Tax Act. So it clearly gives a hint, if we follow this particular circular, it clearly gives the hint there is no need of getting books of accounts audited. So this defense we may take. However, the question that now comes is that there are cases where, let's take an example, I have submitted Form 10B late. I have not submitted my tax audit report. Now during the assessment I am submitting. And that would be, of course, a better course of action. That AO says that you have not got the books of accounts audited. You should have got the books of accounts audited. I said, sir, anyway, I have got a separate books of accounts. The separate cost centers are maintained. You take the audited books of accounts. I don't mind getting it audited. I'm giving you now during the assessment proceedings. Can now the benefit be denied? What would be a situation if I submit my Form 10B late? Then we have direct judgment of our own Ahmedabad, our own Gujarat High Court, in the case of Association of Indian Panel Board Manufacturer, and it is in the tax appeal number 655 of 22, Gujarat High Court. And please mind it, this judgment is post-amendment. I am well aware that from 1314 or 1415 they have made an amendment and they said that the form needs to be filed electronically and they should be filed within a particular timelines. They said that even if it is this amendment only talk about manner of filing it, it has to be filed now electronically and not physically. But then it is very well categorically provided in this particular case. It was this case relating to the post the amendment, and here it is categorically been said that even if it is submitted later on, then absolutely there is no problem, the benefit cannot be denied. Ahmedabad ITET thereafter, in the case of Gujarat Energy Development Agency, 2023, 154 taxman.com 348, it was held that when assessee a charitable trust filed audit report in form number 10B, during assessment proceedings, assessing officer could not have denied exemption under section 11 on the ground that audit report was not e-filed along with the return. Once again, this judgment, the assessment here in the judgment, not the judgment of course pertains to 2023, the assessment here in the judgment is post-amendment. So it is applicable even today. The question that comes now here is, because the one more interconnected topic we can take now is section 115 TD, and we know that the draconian provision of section 115 TD would come to the problem where, rather that would create a problem for me, because let's take an example, I missed the bus of 30th September 2023. What is to be done? If we have not missed, we are lucky. But let's take an example, we have missed the bus of 30th September 2023, now what is to be done? In that case, we have to file an application to the Honorable CBDT, and now let me share few direct judgments where we can take the help of those judgments and we can say that the benefit should be made available to us. The first judgment is in the case of Chintan and Parikh HUF 2023 154 taxman.com 544 Gujarat High Court. I agree, it has nothing to do with the 10BB, but it is relating to section 139 where the return was filed late. And here the example which was given is कि tally ना data में कोई problem હતો, accountant रजा ऊपर હતો कि बीमार था, senior accountant आवता न था. And Honorable Gujarat High Court said that it is a valid course. And there was a delay in filing return, I guess roughly around 150 days or something was the delay in filing the return, and they said okay, the brought forward loss is allowed. Another judgment is, so what did the court said? Where reason given by the assessee for delay in return, namely health problem of senior accountant, computer system having got corrupted, and heads of income being heads of accounts being on verge of retirement, and heavily rainfall disrupting routine were genuine, and assessee had explained in detail all above reasons for delay in filing return, application filed by the assessee under 1192B for condonation of delay was to be allowed. So this judgment would come to your rescue in all cases, not only in a case where your 10B is late. अगर कोई केस में टैक्स ऑडिट भी करना रह गया, रूटीन टैक्स ऑडिट लेट फाइल किया हुआ है, ऐसे कोई भी कारण से, तो गुजरात हाई कोर्ट इज डायरेक्टली ऑन द पॉइंट. Please note that there is one beautiful Bombay High Court judgment, I would say a important observation. The judgment is in the case of Bhatewara Associates, Manik 2023, 147 taxman.com 297, Bombay High Court, and the one line is very much important, and they say that genuine hardship is also to be seen as the consequence if the delay is not condoned. Now this would be of a great assistance. What if my delay is not condoned? If I am a charitable trust carrying out charitable activities since long, but due to any reasons I could not submit my form number 10B, which I was supposed to, I could not submit my form 10B, or I could not submit my form for getting registration or re-registration or re-approval in time because of XYZ reasons, assuming that they are genuine reasons. The problem that would come to me is 115 TD would be applicable to me, and if 115 TD is applicable to me, there would be a great problem. In that particular very case, we can apply straightway Bombay High Court, wherein they have said that genuine hardship is also to be seen as consequence if delay is not condoned. Now coming to certain other issues. I have still 8 minutes left. Should I take the questions now or should I continue, sir? Okay, so if you have questions, please do let me know. We will address to those questions first. મેં જેટલા પણ જજમેન્ટ્સ કોટ કર્યા છે અને બીજા ઘણા બધા મેટર્સ છે, એઝ અ મેટર ઓફ ફેક્ટ આ ટોપિકમાં એવું હતું કે મેડમ સાથે મારે વાત થઈ ને મેડમે મને પૂછ્યું કે કયા ટોપિક ઉપર હમણાં લેક્ચર રાખી શકાય, એટલે મેં કીધું કે મેડમ ટ્રસ્ટ ઉપર ભણવું છે, મારા ઘણા બધા ડાઉટ છે, એટલે એમણે કીધું કે તું લેક્ચર આપી દે. So what I did is I tried to I read this book, tried to summarize as I can. એટલે જે અગત્યના જજમેન્ટ્સ મને બધા મળ્યા હતા એ બધાને મેં સમરી કર્યું છે. I will share this with this PDF I will share with the branch would do the needful. એ સિવાય તમારા કોઈ questions હોય that you can definitely we can deal with these questions because you have a next session to start at 11:30. So I guess, yes, sir.
ATG available with the trust.
Okay.
12A misplaced and AO denied the exemption 11, 12 and about 2 crore, 3 crore demand raised in e-assessment. So, and we filed appeal before the CIT appeal. So what can be in
કયું વર્ષ છે અસેસમેન્ટ યર કયું છે
90-20?
So before amendment વાળું છે.
હા.
Okay. Are you covered by તમે એજ્યુકેશનલ ઇન્સ્ટિટ્યુશન કે હોસ્પિટલ એવું કંઈ છો? હા,
ટ્રસ્ટ, ચેરિટેબલ ટ્રસ્ટ.
હા, એટલે એજ્યુકેશનલ ઇન્સ્ટિટ્યુશન કે
નહીં.
હોસ્પિટલ નથી તમે?
નહીં.
ઓકે, સો એ દરવાજા આપણા બંધ થઈ ગયા છે. ઓકે, સો નાવ ઇન ધીસ કેસ વન્સ અગેન it is absolutely your duty first to provide કે મારી પાસે 12AA નું રજિસ્ટ્રેશન છે. That registration certificate has to be provided by you. At the most, what you can do is you can claim that you should be taxed as an AOP after allowing all the expenditure that you have incurred to earn a particular income. So that is what you can at the max claim. Second is you can say that my registration, I have a valid registration, but then the registration is lost. So retrospective effect of section 13(10) is to be given. I don't know to what an extent it is an arguable, but then you can take this particular plea. My submission is so far as possible because it is primarily your duty to provide the registration. તમારું નવું રજિસ્ટ્રેશન આવી ગયું છે?
હા, હા, આવી ગયું છે.
એ ક્યારે આવ્યું?
એ 2021માં આપણે જ્યારે નવું લેવાનું હતું ત્યારે એ પીરિયડમાં જ લેવાઈ ગયું છે.
અચ્છા, જ્યારે નવું લેવાનું હતું, જ્યારે નવું રજિસ્ટ્રેશન લીધું તમે
5 યરનું મળી ગયું છે.
હે,
એ 5
5 યરનું જ્યારે મળી ગયું તમને?
અમે જૂના છીએ એ રીતે જ મળી ગયું છે એઝ એ ઓલ્ડ.
ઓકે, તો then you can take once again this plea can be taken in second. જ્યારે આ રજિસ્ટ્રેશન આવ્યું જે તારીખે, એ વખતે જૂનું અસેસમેન્ટ ચાલુ હતું?
ચાલુ હતું.
then you have a point. સેક્શન 12 માં એક પ્રોવાઇઝો છે જેમાં એવું કહેલું છે કે જે તારીખે તમને રજિસ્ટ્રેશન, આજની તારીખમાં ડિલીટ થઈ ગયું છે, પ્લીઝ માઇન્ડ ઇટ, ફાઇનાન્સ એક્ટ 2023 એને ડિલીટ કરી નાખ્યું છે, પણ તમારું વર્ષ 19-20 છે એટલે તમે આ પ્લી લઈ શકો છો કે જે દિવસે મારું રજિસ્ટ્રેશન આવ્યું એ વખતે એ તારીખે જૂના વર્ષનું મારું કોઈ અસેસમેન્ટ ચાલુ હતું, તો જે વર્ષનું અસેસમેન્ટ ચાલુ હોય એને આ રજિસ્ટ્રેશન એ અને સ્ટ્રેટ વે એને ઇફેક્ટ કરે. યુ કેન ટેક ધીસ પ્લી અને એના અમદાવાદ ટ્રાઇબ્યુનલના જજમેન્ટ્સ અવેલેબલ છે.
પાસ્ટમાં પણ એસેસમેન્ટમાં એવો એ લખેલું છે કે ટ્રસ્ટ ઇઝ રજિસ્ટર્ડ અંડર 12A.
That's true. So see, when you are, see, the grounds which are coming now to your rescue are A, you have been given registration as a regular registration and not the provisional registration. Number 2, the date on the registration, the date on which the registration has come, the new registration, the old assessment proceedings were going on. So as per that particular proviso which I referred, which is now deleted, it was applicable for your year, જ્યારે તમારું હતું ત્યારે. So you can take that rescue, you can take the advantage. તો એ વખતને તમને સ્ટ્રેટ અફેક્ટ કરે ને અમદાવાદ ટ્રાઇબ્યુનલથી તમારું આ મેટર કવર્ડ છે. એવા ઘણા જજમેન્ટ છે કે જો મેટર અસેસમેન્ટ લેવલ ઉપર પેન્ડિંગ હોય, અસેસમેન્ટ ચાલુ હતું ને એ વખતે,
ચાલુ.
એ દિવસે આજે રજિસ્ટ્રેશન આવ્યું, આજે થઈ 24 ડિસેમ્બર 2023, આજે મારું રજિસ્ટ્રેશન આવ્યું ને આજે જો 15-16નું મેટર ચાલુ હોય, 15-16માં હું રજિસ્ટર નહોતો, તો 15-16ના મેટરને 15-16ના વર્ષને 12AA નો લાભ મળે, 16-17, 17-18, 19 ના મળે. ઓફકોર્સ આજે આ એક્ટ, આજે આ લો નથી, આ તમને સમજાવવા માટે ખાલી કહી રહ્યો છું તમને. સો તમારા વર્ષ માટે હતું, યુ કેન ટેક ધ એડવાન્ટેજ.
અને સેકન્ડ સર, આપણે અત્યારે પ્રોવિઝનલ જે રજિસ્ટ્રેશન આપે છે 3 years, એમાં કંઈક એવું છે કે સરેન્ડર કરીને પાછું વિધિન 6 monthsમાં, એટલે એ આપણે ઓનલાઈન સરેન્ડર જ કરવાનું કે એપ્લાય ન્યૂ એપ્લાય જ કરવાનું?
તમારા કેસમાં થયું છે શું 3 વર્ષનું ખોટું આવી ગયું છે? 5 વર્ષ?
એવું કંઈ નથી. અત્યારે આ નવા જે ટ્રસ્ટ ફર્સ્ટ ટાઈમ જ આપણે રજિસ્ટર્ડ કરાવે,
જી,
તો એમને કંઈક
નવા જ જો ટ્રસ્ટ હોય અને ભૂતકાળમાં તમે કોઈ પણ પ્રકારનો એડવાન્ટેજ 1023C 456A અને 11-12માં ના લીધો હોય, તો સ્ટ્રેટ વે અને તમારી એક્ટિવિટી કમેન્સ થઈ ગઈ હોય તો તમારે 2 વખત રજિસ્ટ્રેશન લેવાની જરૂર નથી. 1/10/2023 પછી તમે સ્ટ્રેટ વે રેગ્યુલર રજિસ્ટ્રેશન તમે લઈ શકો છો. 1/10/2023 પછી લો અમેન્ડ થઈ ગયો છે.
થેન્ક યુ.
વેલકમ. એની અધર ક્વેરીઝ સર? Thank you very much for the patient hearing. If I have said something, anybody has felt being hurt, I really convey my apologies, and I really enjoyed being here. Thank you very much, and wishing you all a great learning ahead. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
હા એક ટ્રસ્ટમાં અસેસમેન્ટ યર 23-24માં મારે ફોર્મ 10 ફાઇલ કરવાનું રહી ગયું.
ફોર્મ 10, ઓકે.
હા જે મેં હજી પરમ દિવસે જ ફાઇલ કર્યું.
તો મેં તમને કહ્યું ને કે તમે ફોર્મ 10 તમે અત્યારે ફાઇલ થઈ ગયું છે ને તમારી પાસે. તો મેં તમને કહ્યું ને છેલ્લે જે મેં તમને જે જજમેન્ટ કહ્યું આ તમારું ચિંતન નટવરલાલ સોરી આ ફોર્મ 10B માટેનું ડાયરેક્ટ જજમેન્ટ મેં તમને આપ્યું ને ગુજરાત હાઈકોર્ટનું.
યુ કેન ફોર્મ 10
સોરી
એક્યુમ્યુલેશન અંડર સેક્શન 11 ક્લોઝ 2.
હા સી અન્ડરસ્ટેન્ડ ધ પોઈન્ટ. ફોર્મ 10B હોય કે ફોર્મ 10 હોય, અલ્ટિમેટ રેશિયો શું છે કે જ્યારે તમે અસેસમેન્ટ કરવા બેઠા ત્યારે ફોર્મ તમારી પાસે રેકોર્ડ ઉપર અવેલેબલ હતું. ઇફ ધ ફોર્મ વોઝ અવેલેબલ ઓન રેકોર્ડ while making out the assessment, you should not be denied the benefit. Right?
એ મેં ફાઇલ કર્યું આફ્ટર રિસીવિંગ ક્વેરી અંડર સેક્શન 143 ક્લોઝ 1A.
અરે ડ્યુરિંગ ધ કોર્સ ઓફ અસેસમેન્ટ પ્રોસિડિંગ્સ કરો તો ચાલે. મયુર ફાઉન્ડેશન ડ્યુરિંગ ધ કોર્સ ઓફ અપીલ કરો તો ચાલે. તમે તો વહેલું કર્યું છે. ડોન્ટ વરી.
They will give exemption.
They will have to give exemption. But then you have to fight. You are covered by, see તમે અહીંયા બે કામ કરી શકો છો. જો માની લો કે તમને નથી આપતા, તમે એક કરો અપીલ ફાઇલ કરો ને પેરેલલી 154 કરો. જ્યુરિસ્ડિક્શનલ હાઈકોર્ટનું જજમેન્ટ હોય તો એ પછી અને તમે ફોલો ના કરી, ઇટ ઇઝ અ મિસ્ટેક અપેરન્ટ ઓન રેકોર્ડ, તો 154 તમારું થઈ કરવું પડે. તમે એક 154 જ્યુરિસ્ડિક્શનલ અસેસિંગ ઓફિસરને ફાઇલ કરો સેઇંગ ધેટ કે આ ગુજરાત હાઈકોર્ટનું જજમેન્ટ છે, મેં મારું ફોર્મ ઓલરેડી અપલોડ કરી દીધું છે, ઓનલાઈન અપલોડ મારું ફોર્મ થઈ ગયું છે અને અત્યારે તમારી પાસે અવેલેબલ છે, તો મને 143(1) જે ઇન્ટિમેશન છે 153(1) જે આવ્યું છે એમાં તમે કરેક્ટ કરીને 143(1) મને રિટર્ન ઇન્કમ એક્સેપ્ટ કરતી મને ઇન્ટિમેશન તમે આપો. ઇટ ઇઝ અ મિસ્ટેક અપેરન્ટ ઓન રેકોર્ડ. અને પેરેલલી તમે એની સામે 143(1) ઇન્ટિમેશન આવે તો પેરેલલી તમે એની સામે અપીલ ફાઇલ કરો. જો 154 થઈ જાય તો અપીલનું જ્યારે હિયરિંગ આવે ત્યારે કહી દેવાનું કે 154 થઈ ગયું તો there is no dispute, you can withdraw the appeal. જો એ નથી કરતા you can go ahead and you can quote this judgment. એટલે ITAT અમદાવાદ ITAT અને ગુજરાત હાઈકોર્ટ બંને કહ્યું પોસ્ટ અમેન્ડમેન્ટનું આ સેક્શન છે ત્યાં એવું કહેલું છે. સો ઇટ વિલ બી ડાયરેક્ટલી એપ્લિકેબલ ટુ યુ. સોરી હા એક જ સેકન્ડ કહી દઉં. Association of Indian Panel Board Manufacturer Revenue Tax Appeal number 655 of 2022 ગુજરાત હાઈકોર્ટ. મોટે ભાગે એપ્રિલ 2023નું જજમેન્ટ છે. સો અહીંયા ડાયરેક્ટલી કહેલું છે. અને બીજું છે ગુજરાત એનર્જી ડેવલપમેન્ટ એજન્સી 2023 154 taxman.com 348 અમદાવાદ ટ્રિબ્યુનલ. યસ મેમ. કોણ? સી જ્યુરિસ્ડિક્શનલ એઓ અને સીપીસી બંને પાસે તમારું કોન્કરન્ટ જ્યુરિસ્ડિક્શન છે. એવું માનવાનું કોઈ કારણ નથી કે સીપીસી આ બધું કરે છે એટલે એઓએ કશું નથી કરવાનું. દે હેવ અ કોન્કરન્ટ જ્યુરિસ્ડિક્શન. યુ કેન ઓલવેઝ ગીવ ધીસ રેક્ટિફિકેશન. અને તમે ઓનલાઈન તમે 154 તમે જ્યાં કરો છો ત્યાં લખી દો કે વી હેવ ફાઇલ્ડ અ મેન્યુઅલ રેક્ટિફિકેશન એન્ડ ધ મેટર ઇઝ કવર્ડ બાય ધ જ્યુરિસ્ડિક્શનલ હાઈકોર્ટ. તે તમે એવું લખી દો અને અહીંયા એઓને તમે 154 ની એપ્લિકેશન કરો. દે હેવ ટુ ડુ ઇટ. કોન્કરન્ટ જ્યુરિસ્ડિક્શન છે.
બટ સર એવો એક્સેપ્ટ નથી કરતા.
સોરી
રાઇટ્સ નથી.
તમે એમને મેલ કરી દો અને તમે 154માં આ વસ્તુ કેટેગરીકલી તમે આ વસ્તુ લખી દો. તમારું કામ 154માં 100% થઈ જશે. એટલીસ્ટ નહીતર 143(1) ની સામે અપીલ કરો ત્યાં તમારું કામ થઈ જશે. સો ધીસ આર ધ ટુ રેમેડીઝ અવેલેબલ એન્ડ બિલીવ મી ઇટ વિલ બી ડન.
So one is rectification to be filed with AO
જી
or appeal.
એન્ડ સેકન્ડ ઇઝ CIT appeal.
Okay.
143(1) intimation is an appealable order.
Appealable.
So it is an appealable order. Since it is an appealable one, you can go to one CIT appeals. આ તમારી પહેલો ઓપ્શન થઈ ગયો. તમે પહેલો ઓપ્શન તમે આ કરી લીધો. અને બીજો ઓપ્શન તમે પેરેલલી યુઝ કરો છો કે એની સામે હું 154 ફાઇલ કરી દઉં. કેમ 154 ફાઇલ કરો છો? રીઝન બીંગ ઇટ ઇઝ કવર્ડ બાય જ્યુરિસ્ડિક્શનલ હાઈકોર્ટ. જ્યુરિસ્ડિક્શનલ હાઈકોર્ટનું જજમેન્ટ હોય તો it becomes a mistake apparent on record. And on this ground તમે આ તમે અહીંયા ફાઇલ કરી રહ્યા છો.
Okay, sir.
Right? Thank you.
So it's always been pleasure to hear you. He being a chartered accountant now converted lawyer, so now he is giving all the legal touches and legal aspects to his subject as well. So it's a privilege to hear him always. Thank you so much, sir, for being and always available for Ahmedabad branch and any of the CA Institute. Whenever we are giving him the invitation, he's always with the yes. Thank you so much, sir. Big round of applause for him. I acknowledge, now going up to the second session, so it's demystifying Indian AS and its effects on the financial statements. I acknowledge the presence of our faculties. This is a panel discussion. So I acknowledge the presence of Shreyans Ravrani sir, Jamin bhai and Harsh Parikh sir, along with Chintan bhai, regional council member. We'll be having a quick change of dais and we'll be starting with the session. Thank you all for patient listening. Thank you.